Hello guys, in today's video I want to show you how to play computer games on an old Commodore 64 like that, how to load them from a modern computer onto so old computer, how to deliver reliable power to Commodore 64, and then how to play those games. Okay, so for the people that are not involved, what Commodore 64 basically is, it's a old 8-bit computer that was basically manufactured in 80s, and it is one of the computers that was the most popular computer ever. So in my opinion, if you are a geek, interested in this stuff like I am, it's very interesting to, kind of get into the topic and read a bit more about this computer, or maybe buy yourself one, because they are, basically there's only a few of these. So what we have on the back, basically here, is you can see that we got Arduino, and then here we have the cassette port, the expansion port for cartridges. We have cassette port and we have user port. But what we are going to be using today is basically this port for video output, and this to emulate with an Arduino to emulate a floppy drive basically. And here we have the power button and two basically joystick ports. So let me show you what shows up on the TV when I boot up the computer. So what we can see here is basically Commodore 64 basic version 2, and we have 64 kilobytes of RAM. Do you imagine how much it was back then? Right now 64 kilobytes is not much, and as you can hear in my amplifier, you can hear a slight buzz, and this is basically the noise of the computer itself. And as you can see, we have those 64 kilobytes there, but we only have 38 kilobytes left. So basically I showed you that I have connected a Arduino to the thing. So let me show you right now how to load games, So here we have my laptop, and on my laptop I have, as you can see, Windows XP Virtual Machine, on which I can basically choose some kind of game here. The software is called UNU to IEC. And basically what you need to do is to appropriately connect the connector, obviously, on your Commodore 64 and Arduino, and then basically download this software and use it. So what we are going to do is we will load a Pac-Man. A simple game, we loaded it up. So what I will do right now is I will load the game. So basically it's pretty simple. We type in load, we open quote, then we type in, for example, the first letter of the game, asterisk, we close the quote mark, and then what we do is we basically do :8. And what it means is that we are basically loading P and something else, like a regular expression, and then we load it from the device 8, which this Arduino is emulating, it's emulating device number 8. And then when I will hit enter on the Commodore 64, you will see that the loading starts. And it's pretty fast, you might expect that an old computer loads stuff fairly slowly. And it is true, but when we are using cassettes, it's loading them pretty slowly because the cassette itself isn't ideal for storing digital data. But in this case, we are storing the data in digital format on our computer and we are loading it onto Commodore 64. So okay, we are loaded right now. And what we can do right now is type in run. And then it will, as you can see, start to process some things, maybe load a bit more data, and we have Pac-Man. In order to play the game, we need some kind of joystick. So I DIY'd one, as you can see, with a nice little analog joystick and a fire button. This is the only things that you need, is just 4 directions with, the directions in the middle. So really 8 directions and then a fire button. And this is basically everything that you need. And in this case, I had some problems when it comes to reference voltages for the analog stick. So I need to power it off of a USB power bank. And then when we start the game, this is something that shows up. It's called a trainer. So what we can do is hit run stop. And we can give ourselves unlimited lives, but I won't do this. Invincibility, I won't do this. And then, to skip the level, we can use the Commodore key, which I don't want. And then we have the Atari 1983, as you can see, Pac-Man. And then, as you can see, I can hit F1 to play the game, but obviously I plugged in joystick, and when I'm plugging in joystick, I can't use keyboard. But as you can see, we got Pac-Man working on our 8-bit computer. Isn't it awesome? Check this out, guys. And we can play the game as normal. As you can see, everything works fine. And this is basically how my retro setup looks like. So thanks for watching and see you guys next time. And the last thing that I want to tell you is the power. So the power supply that I made is fairly simple, nothing special. We just have a transformer, 230 volts comes into the primary, and then the secondary goes through a full bridge rectifier, through a capacitor, and then through a 7805 regulator mounted on a heatsink. And we have 2 pairs of cables coming out, as you might see here, because we need 9 volt AC for our Commodore 64 as well as 5 volt DC. So the 5 volt DC is supplied by the 5 volt 7805 regulator, and AC is supplied by just the secondary of the transformer. And here we have, those taps and wires that you can see that I have tapped with those wires into those wires in order to get the AC. So that's all, and thanks guys, and see you next time.